because it comes from female lips. Source: Origin, 185 to 254 CE. Quote, "The rule remains with the husband, and the wife is compelled to obey him by God's command. He rules the home and the state. The woman, on the other hand, is like a nail driven into the wall. She sits at home. Just as the snail carries its house with it, so the wife should stay at home and look after the household." Source: Martin Luther, 16th century CE. Quote, "The woman had indeed been subject to her husband in paradise, though this was an honest and by no means harsh subjection. But now, after the fall, she is placed, as it were, in slavery." Source: John Calvin, 16th century CE. Far from picking on any one tradition, my point here is to demonstrate the ubiquity of such attitudes toward women by movers and shakers across the board, whose effects are felt to this day. Second, there are many more women in the Bible than you may realize, but chances are that you have not heard of many of them because they are not mentioned in our teaching and preaching. Third, when you do hear of a woman in the Bible, the woman is often presented as a sinner and is often associated with some kind of sexual immorality, even Jesus' mother. Fourth, rarely do we hear of women who lead and are moral or faith exemplars. Those we do encounter often have been so egregiously misinterpreted that it would be better if they had stayed ignored. For example, Mary Magdalene and the Samaritan woman. These patterns in the Bible raise some questions for us Christians and our witness. First, there is the issue of how God is described and portrayed. Does God believe that women are not equal to men and that most women are sexpots and seductresses? Second, based on the answer to the first question, do followers of God have license to constrain women on the basis of gender? Third, how do we entertain the issue of the unity and authority of the Bible? Not all texts agree. Some are liberating for women, and some appear to condone or engender oppression. How do we address this? Goals of the book. The Bible has been a resource in the struggle for gender equality and, by extension, people equality. The rising of women means the rising of the whole human family. When Christians talk about anything, including women, we are talking about the nature of the kingdom, or kindom, or dream of God. Where does the Bible exemplify good news of abundant life for women and point the way to how life would look if things were on earth as it is in heaven? Since the Bible is scripture for us, it has special authority. But how does that authority work, given the distance between the time and cultures in which it was composed and now? It is important to know how women were viewed in ancient society so that we can inquire about which aspects of that view inhere in the present and which aspects might be cast off. Paul asked women to veil in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, but most American women do not do that today. What was at stake then, and why do most of us not do it now? So, the Bible is authoritative. The Bible teaches us about the nature of God's kingdom, and history can help us think about how we relate to the Bible today. This book spotlights overlooked women and takes a fresh look at some of the most commonly referenced women. I address women who are astute theologians. I feature women who are active agents, those who are victims of forces beyond themselves, and those who are both. I try to be honest about what the texts do and do not say, whether we like it or not, and whether we decide to agree or disagree with the author on any given point. I also point out different types of family structures in the Bible. After all, neither Jesus nor Paul ever married or had children, and Paul patently calls Christians not to marry if they can at all resist it. Unmarried people in the Bible are whole people on their own. On the other hand, Peter is married. Some women are mothers, and some are not. Some are leaders in their communities, judges, warriors, prophets, apostles, ministers, leaders of prayer circles and churches. Others are ordinary people like the rest of us, trying to live faithful lives amidst sometimes difficult circumstances, celebrating and praising God for the joys that